Miss Victoria Gray had always dreamed of a career in fashion, and fortune smiled upon her when her father arranged a photo shoot for a new clothing line. Excited by the opportunity, she was eager to shine, and her boyfriend, Mr. Darcy, was supportive, offering to accompany her to the shoot. As the session began, Mr. Darcy observed from the sidelines, watching Victoria get her hair styled and makeup applied. He felt a flicker of envy at her poise and effortless beauty, but he was content to simply be there for her. Soon, however, it became clear that the photographer, Mr. Oliver, was frustrated with Victoria's performance. Her constant smiling didn't match the serious, pouting expression he was trying to capture for the shot. "That's the expression I'm looking for," Mr. Oliver said, gesturing toward Mr. Darcy. "In fact, that's exactly the look I want. What size are you, my friend?" Mr. Darcy was taken aback by the suggestion that he model the clothing. He protested, but Mr. Oliver assured him that androgynous models were the latest trend and that a man wearing highly feminine clothing was a concept worth exploring. To sweeten the deal, he promised Mr. Darcy a modeling fee of his own. Though initially upset by the idea, Victoria eventually warmed to it, and Mr. Darcy found himself swiftly ushered through hair and makeup. To his surprise, the styling suited him well, and he felt a spark of excitement at the thought of being in front of the camera. As Mr. Oliver took pictures of him in various outfits and poses, he complimented Mr. Darcy's flawless skin, striking eye color, and even his neck. Mr. Darcy couldn't help but feel his cheeks warm, flustered by the attention. It wasn't until he donned a burgundy outfit, complete with a small hat and bolero jacket, that he realized Victoria had quietly left the shoot. A wave of concern washed over him as he wondered where she had gone and if she was all right. Mr. Oliver appeared completely unfazed by Victoria's absence, continuing to direct Mr. Darcy and even borrowing a pendant from the hair and makeup artist to enhance his neck. As the photo shoot wrapped up, Mr. Darcy couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was wrong, and he was eager to find out where Victoria had gone and why. After the photo shoot, Mr. Darcy remained unsettled. He couldn't stop worrying about Victoria and was desperate to understand where she had gone and why. While waiting for her return, Mr. Darcy reflected on the day's events. He never imagined he would enjoy modeling, but he had to admit it was a surprisingly fulfilling experience. Mr. Oliver had complimented his looks and seemed genuinely interested in collaborating again in the future. Yet, despite the thrill of the shoot, a sense of guilt lingered in Mr. Darcy's mind. He had enjoyed the attention from Mr. Oliver, and it left him questioning whether he had developed feelings for the photographer. He had always thought of himself as straight, but the attraction he felt toward Mr. Oliver was undeniable. As these thoughts raced through his mind, Victoria returned, visibly upset and angry. Without hesitation, Mr. Darcy rushed to her side, asking if she was all right and if there was anything he could do to help. Victoria, tearfully, explained that she had suspected for some time that Mr. Oliver was gay, and that she had noticed him flirting with Mr. Darcy during the photo shoot. She felt deeply hurt and betrayed, which had led her to leave in a rush of emotion. Mr. Darcy was stunned by her confession. He realized he needed to be open with her about his own feelings. He admitted that he had developed an attraction to Mr. Oliver and wasn't sure what it meant for his own understanding of his preferences. Victoria was understanding and supportive, and the two of them spent the evening talking through Mr. Darcy's revelation. It was a challenging and emotional conversation, but they both knew that honesty and mutual understanding were the foundation of their relationship. That night, as they went to bed, Mr. Darcy couldn't shake the sense of hope that had settled in him. He had much to figure out about his identity, but he was grateful to have Victoria by his side as he navigated this new chapter. In the days following the photo shoot, Mr. Darcy found himself lost in thought about Mr. Oliver and his own emotions. He knew he needed to make a decision about his future, but the path ahead felt uncertain. On one hand, he realized that pursuing a relationship with Mr. Oliver might invite judgment and rejection from his friends and family. On the other hand, he couldn't ignore the feelings he had and the possibility of a happy, fulfilling relationship with the photographer. Victoria continued to be supportive, encouraging Mr. Darcy to consider what was best for him and his future. She reminded him to stay true to himself and follow his heart, regardless of others' opinions. Mr. Darcy knew she was right, and after much deliberation, he made the difficult decision to reach out to Mr. Oliver and explore the possibility of a romantic relationship. Mr. Darcy felt a wave of nervousness as he typed the message, but he knew he could no longer deny his feelings. To his surprise, Mr. Oliver replied almost immediately, sharing his own feelings and expressing an interest in exploring a relationship with Mr. Darcy. They arranged to meet in person, and Mr. Darcy was amazed at how natural it felt to be himself around Mr. Oliver. They spent hours laughing and talking, and Mr. Darcy knew, without a doubt, that he had made the right choice in following his heart. As they said their goodbyes that evening, Mr. Darcy eagerly anticipated their next meeting. He knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to face whatever challenges arose, as long as Mr. Oliver was by his side. Mr. Darcy and Mr. Oliver's relationship blossomed quickly, with both men finding themselves falling deeper in love every day. They encountered their fair share of challenges, including judgment and discrimination from some in their community, but they remained resilient and committed to one another. Victoria was delighted to see Mr. Darcy so happy and in love. Though the journey had been difficult for him, she was glad to see him thriving and staying true to himself. As the months went by, their relationship continued to strengthen, and they made the decision to move in together. It was a significant step, but one they both felt ready for. Settling into their new home, Mr. Darcy marveled at how much his life had changed in such a short time. He had always been content with his life and his bond with Victoria, but he never expected to find love and fulfillment with someone like Mr. Oliver. He felt grateful for the modeling opportunity and the photo shoot that had brought them together, and he knew he owed much of it to Victoria's unwavering support and understanding. Looking ahead, Mr. Darcy knew he had much to be thankful for, and he eagerly anticipated the future with Mr. Oliver by his side. As Mr. Darcy and Mr. Oliver's relationship continued to flourish, they knew they wanted to spend their lives together. They decided on a small wedding ceremony surrounded by their loved ones, including Victoria, who was thrilled to see her dear friends so happy. The wedding was a joyful celebration, filled with love and happiness, and both Mr. Darcy and Mr. Oliver felt certain they had found their happily ever after. As they settled into married life, they both continued their careers in the fashion industry, with Mr. Darcy even venturing into a successful career as an androgynous model. He found great fulfillment in his work and knew he owed much of it to Mr. Oliver, who had helped guide him onto this new path. Looking ahead, Mr. Darcy and Mr. Oliver knew they had much to be thankful for. They had found love and happiness in each other, and they eagerly anticipated the future. As they reflected on their journey, they realized it all began with a chance encounter at a photo shoot, and that love and happiness had always been waiting for them. Thanks for watching. If you liked this story, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Also, consider becoming a member for exclusive stories and early access.